right, let's start with some breaking inputs that have just come in from China, where the Communist Party of China has proposed a change on the Chinese president's term in the constitution. Now, the CPC has reportedly proposed to remove the expression that the president and the vice president of the People's Republic of China shall serve no more than 2 consecutive terms from the country's constitution. This is a significant bit of a change if this indeed were to in fact take place. Remember, Xi Jinping has just been elected for his 2nd term, and with this change the constitution, this is going to have far-reaching implications as to what is going to happen in China. And to discuss those implications, we are joined in by our foreign affairs correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran, who joins us over the phone line. Ramesh, the fact that Xi Jinping has been strengthening his stranglehold on power in China is well known, but with this change in the constitution, it appears that he may in fact be eyeing for a 3rd term.
Well, Mohammed, the immediate and the first implication of this proposal will be to pave the way for a 3rd consecutive term for Xi Jinping if and when the party decides to do it. But that said, this has been debated for quite some time now in Chinese and international circles, especially during the inauguration of the 2nd term of Xi Jinping. At that time, the speculation was that why hasn't Xi Jinping hinted or indicated who his successor might be going forward. At that time, this was being speculated that the party may be in favor of removing the ban, the cap of a 3rd consecutive term. Remember, under the current party constitution, a president and vice president can serve only 2 consecutive terms, and therefore the Communist Party of China's Central Committee deciding or proposing to remove the expression that a president and vice president of the People's Republic of China, quote unquote, shall serve no more than 2 consecutive terms from the country's constitution is very, very significant.
Absolutely indeed. Absolutely indeed, Ramesh Ramachandran. Do continue to stay on with us. Meanwhile, I'm told that we're also joined in by Mr. Atul Aneja, who's a senior journalist who joins us from Beijing. Mr. Aneja, this is a significant development. How do you view this?
Indeed, it is a very significant development. And as Ramesh was pointing out, that its implications are very clear, that now Xi Jinping has a constitutional, a legal right to continue for a 3rd consecutive term, which means that, he has his own roadmap. 2022 was supposed to be the year when China was to accomplish its next stage of development, which is a moderately prosperous society.
Right.
And then it's an indication of the transition which is going on in China, and Xi Jinping personally signaling that he will personally steer this transition.
And also, Mr. Atul Aneja, you've been tracking the developments in China very closely. What we know is that there was one-party rule in China. Are we now looking at a period in China where there could be one-man rule for a significant amount of time?
Well, Xi Jinping at the helm would mean that. I personally think that what he would have in mind is a 3rd term and then hand over power. But he's in his 60s now, so I don't see him continuing beyond the 3rd term. I also want to point out that it's not insignificant that the vice president has also been included in this. Because, as you know, from March 3rd, the 2 sessions, the Chinese parliament is going to meet, where specific appointments are going to be made based on what happened in the November Party Congress. Now, one name which is coming up for the vice president's name is Wang Qishan.
Right.
Now, he is the anti-corruption czar and the most trusted man, right-hand man of Xi Jinping when it came to anti-corruption drive. Now, there is speculation that he might get the vice president's role or be appointed as a vice president. If that happens, then it's not just Xi Jinping continuing, but the team of Xi Jinping and Wang Qishan taking this transition forward. I think the inclusion of vice president is also very significant.
Right. And also what is going to be looked at very, very closely is the manner in which China has in fact been making strides in terms of its diplomacy under Xi Jinping since 2012. Ramesh, if I could come to you on this, we have seen an extremely belligerent China in the South China Sea region and also along the border with India. So with Xi Jinping continuing to strengthen his position and perhaps even eyeing a 3rd term, how is this likely to impact the Indo-China relation?
Well, just to take off from the point where Atul left, Mohammed, we've seen in recent months and years Xi Jinping consolidate his position within the party and the government. Remember, he heads at least a dozen odd committees and commissions, including the Military Commission, the Central Military Commission, and a host of other organizations within the party and the government. So, to most Chinese observers, this should not come as a surprise. But the fact remains that the speculation doing the rounds during the inauguration of the second term of Xi Jinping has indeed now coming true, with the proposal by the party to limit the ban, to limit the cap on the 2 successive or consecutive terms for the president and vice president. And this can be expected to have enormous implications for India and the region at large. Remember, India has been engaging all successive presidents, including Xi Jinping, in recent times. It remains to be seen how it will pan out in the immediate term, especially as you mentioned, in the light of the standoff on the Doklam Plateau. But just to bring our viewers up to speed with the context and the implications of this decision, Mohammed, now China has removed or has proposed to remove the constitutional restriction for the maximum number of terms for the president and vice president. And this was made official by the Xinhua news agency of China. And it says that the Communist Party has proposed to remove the expression that the president and vice president shall serve no more than 2 consecutive terms from the party's constitution.
Right.
Now, this follows a Politburo meeting yesterday in Beijing, and it comes ahead of tomorrow's 3-day Central Committee plenum to discuss personnel and other proposed institutional changes to be tabled at the upcoming annual key parliamentary gathering in Beijing.
Absolutely, indeed. Let me take that question to Atul Neja as well. Atul, under Xi Jinping, what we've seen is an increasingly a more belligerent China. We've heard of this One Belt and One Road initiative and also what's happening in the South China Sea. How much of a concern is this strengthening of Xi Jinping within China, and also the prospect that he's likely to continue post-2022 as well, likely to impact the India-China equation?
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm not sure it's going to negatively impact, but the impact it would. Now, I would just like to broaden the context. For China right now, the real, if you call rivalry, is not with India. India is a subset, but the real rivalry is with the United States. And with the Trump administration, already you are seeing a mini trade war, signs of that coming up, with a ban on steel and other products coming from economies like China. So, and also the Taiwan Straits are hotting up again. So, frankly, from the Chinese perspective, the spectrum is broader than India, and therefore it will include not just the South China Sea, but the Pacific as a whole, and then, of course, is the sea lanes of the Indian Ocean. So it's beyond that, but I think their optics are really on the United States.
Right.
And, of course, given the Quad and India's relationship, we do figure in as a subset, but not standalone. It's not India-centric. Xi Jinping is not India-centric. I mean, although India does get roped in his worldview or strategic framework.
Right, Mr. Atul Neja, do continue to stay on with us. Meanwhile, I'm told that we are joined over the phone line by Mr. Phunchok Stopdan, who is a former India ambassador to Kyrgyzstan. Now, Mr. Stopdan, this is a significant development. What has taken place is that there is a change that has been brought about in the wording, the constitution, which had earlier restricted the president's term for 2 terms. Now, this restriction has been lifted. How do you view this development?
No, I thought this was widely expected, that for Xi Jinping to get the 3rd term was a little bit too much. I think that was quite on the expected lines. This only demonstrates that there are internal discords.
Right.
The party is not united, and the kind of projection which has been made that Xi Jinping is the core leader is not sufficiently bought by majority party people. And I think there are various problems within the party. The way I think the Chinese have been dealing with the United States, as somebody just talked about it.
Right.
And B, I think not everybody is happy with the One Belt, One Road project which Xi Jinping has launched as the very sole important project that he has been selling. And it is not failing. In fact, there are a lot of problems cropping up on the Belt and Road issue. Secondly, I think on the issue of North Korea, Xi Jinping has given too much concession to the United States. That is what the party feels. And now, with regards to India, I think there has been some sort of softening on the issue of Dalai Lama. That is again not appreciated too much by the hardliners. And also there is a feeling among the party people that India has not been sufficiently punished because of the Doklam issue. I don't know how Xi Jinping has managed the Doklam issue, but there have been internal fissures. So I think this is quite not so good news for India, because if you are looking at from the overall angle, a prolonged leadership in China would be able to solve even the boundary issues with India, because we also have a strong leadership.
Right.
A strong leadership in China would have, we could manage the problem much better. Any new change in the leadership would always then get into rhetoric and the party issues. So I don't think it's a very good thing for India.
Right. So we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Punchuk Stobdan, for having joined us on the broadcast, and also to Ramesh Ramachandran and to Atul Aneja, who joined us a little while earlier. So this is, of course, a significant change that's in fact been announced in China. Xi Jinping, the stage is set for him to in fact continue for a third term, if he so desires, in the year 2022, when he'll be completing his second term.